We are going to move on to headline number 5. Walmart went out of its way this week to attract college graduates to work in its stores. According to Bloomberg, Walmart has recently unveiled a new college to the number 2 career program that will provide classroom training, hands-on experience, and mentoring for recent and soon-to-be graduates. According to a Walmart statement, top performers will be offered a newly created management role as an emerging coach, which provides the starting pay of at least $65,000 a year and a speedy path to becoming a store manager. They said, quote, "We see the emerging coach role as an additional pipeline to develop high potential talent into future store managers, the latter role with an average wage of approximately $210,000 in 2021, end quote. David, we're going to you first. Do you think this will give college grads an enticing reason to look at Walmart as a career opportunity, or is it just PR window dressing, as David Brown said famously?
Yeah, that's right.
A podcast not too long ago.
Well, so the first thing I'd say is kudos to Walmart. I think we all know that the store manager is the most important role in retail and is capable of really driving results in an individual box. So at least kudos to them for trying to up their talent levels, whether it's PR or real.
Right.
It feels like this is going to be a good test to see if they can move the needle, but to me, it feels much more just like a test. So in that sense, maybe a bit more PR. One thing that I do think is interesting about this, and my worry about their approach in this, is that many new college graduates are Gen Z, and Walmart is going back to the lever of compensation. I think if you interview these people, you look at any behavioral, like they're much more into purpose-driven organizations, flexibility and scheduling. So, we continue to see retailers go back to the well from 10 years ago, where wage rate is the thing that matters most. And that's not what attracts this demographic of talent. Right. So I wish that there were other parts of the program that were more oriented against the college grad that they're targeting.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm curious, Mike, to get your take on this. I'm going to put a little spin on this one too, but I think it is more PR window dressing. I think you just look at the numbers, like, your odds of making the NFL relative to being a store manager are not that different. And the NFL payout's a lot higher. When you think about it, there's only 4,600 Walmart stores. So if you head into the store, the chances of you seeing this payout are really slim. And I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm just trying to be a realist. You're one of 4,600 opportunities, and many of those opportunities are already taken up by long tenured good store managers. So the chances of you getting there are low, so I agree. It's like admirable at the end of the day, but this is my question, is like, when you get down to it, there's probably more headquarters employees making more than $200,000 or that salary they're quoting than there are store managers. So what it actually tells me is that our store employees are probably still underpaid when you put it in that perspective. So Mike, what do you think? I see you shaking your head in the affirmative. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I just have a different spin. I feel like Walmart should put its emphasis on the people that work for them today.
Yeah.
The idea that they got to go to college to get a future store manager, when they have all these people in the stores, they should focus on maybe it's an old principle, but there were folks who started out at Stock Boys who became executives.
100% agree.
And I think they really should be promoting a motion of come in and work for us at any entry level. And we have programs in-house to fast track you and to get to assistant store manager, or to your point, because the store managers are pretty, there's only gonna be so many, but I think creating more growth opportunity for the frontline work employee, and almost kind of saying some of this, it's like a kind of a class thing here. We don't always need to just go find the college grad. Why don't we just work with the people we're employing and give them greater opportunities?
We'll go to you on the end and close this up here, but I totally agree with you, Mike. I mean, as a former district manager, store manager for Target, I used to argue with Target and say, why do we need to hire college grads? I've got tons of really great people working my floors that could easily be store managers one day. And many of them have become that, and they've become very good at the job.
Right. Well, I think that's the most critical part that we need to address here, is that you need time in the stores in order to become, I think, the best HQ employee or store managers. And that's, I guess, where I'd be focusing if I was Walmart, is how do you just create a blanket program where your goal setting, whether you're a store employee or going right into HQ, how do you create the best, most well-rounded employee, and then goal them at these not $212,000 a year, but how do you really create that opportunity regardless of where you're coming from? How do you get them to be starting in the store or starting at HQ? Or like, I just feel like there needs to be more well-rounded approaches to hiring and how they're going to do that, including these people in the stores. I'd be furious.
Yeah, it's great.
I'd be really
yeah,
upset.
and I think they probably are, quite honestly, if they read this story, which maybe they did or maybe they didn't. But you're right, the ladder has many rungs and it can go in many directions. That's an important point too.